Morning. How's Jean?
Morning.
Good.
Welcome. We'll call the meeting to order. Note the presence of a quorum with all commissioners present. I'd invite you to please stand. We'll begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning. Welcome to guest staff visitors present with us here this morning. First item would be approval of the agenda, of which I have one change. We'll be removing item 2AB and AC from consent and adding that directly after a 2.5 AB and AC. And just a reminder, at 10 o'clock, regardless of where we're at in the agenda, 10 o'clock we have a public hearing. So we'll adhere as closely to that time as possible.
Mr. Chair, we have one additional change if we could.
Yeah.
Item AF is being removed from the consent agenda.
Oh,
That's the failure to receive warrant. The warrant was located.
Okay.
Need to
okay.
redo.
So I would entertain a motion approving with those three changes.
I'll make a motion, Chair.
I have a motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Westerland. Support?
Support.
Supported Commissioner, excuse me, Commissioner Sample. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Agenda is hereby approved. Next item would be citizens' public comment. Are there any comments or requests from visitors this morning?
I have something.
Ma'am, if you could just come up to the podium, state your name for the record.
My name is Lynn Meisner, Lynnmizner. I'm here to speak at the hearing about feedlot permit. Is that at 10 o'clock?
That's at 10 o'clock.
So I should keep my comments till then.
That would be more appropriate.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thanks, Lynn. Are there any comments or requests from visitors? Last call for citizens' public comment. Hearing none, we'll proceed to the consent agenda, of which I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion, Chair.
Motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Carney. Support?
Support.
Commissioner LaVisca supports. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Consent agenda is approved as was amended. On to Northland Reliability Project. Mark?
Yes, good morning. This morning we have Zach Wachowski from Minnesota Power to update us on the Northland Reliability Project. Back there is the clicker there.
Morning, welcome, Zach.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks again for having me today. It's been a little bit since we've chatted, and a lot's been going on with the Northland Reliability Project. I think the last time I was here, we did not have an approved route by the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission, but that actually happened on February 28th, 2025. So we have a route and we have a permit in hand. So a lot's been going on, and a lot will continue to happen. So the approved route had a couple changes in it that was approved by the Minnesota PUC again on February 28th. We did get to 90% following high voltage transmission line, so we were able to co-locate the line a little bit more than what the 85% was prior to the issuance of the approved route. We consolidated a lot of existing lines and reduced the right-of-way. The new right-of-way that was needed. And we expanded one of the bigger areas around here, we expanded the route around Swatera to avoid a few residences, to keep the residences intact, and I think it was an actual business as well. We cross the Mississippi River now in current corridors that we didn't normally have before. And we've a lot of rebuilding of existing transmission lines, not necessarily in Aitkin County, but in Crow Wing County by the Cuyuna Recreation Area. And then the increase of use of tax forfeited lands as well. So a lot changed since we've last talked. Again, not so much in this area, but throughout the 180 miles of the things that were that generally affect this area more than anything. The co-location of 92 line and 11 lines in North Aitkin County. So we're combining those two lines to create a new right of way for the Northland Reliability Project. So we're actually taking 92 line and 11 line and putting them on top of each other and stacking them. And then we're able to use the current right of way that 11 line or 92 line sat in. I might be mixed up there, but so those two lines were sat side by side. Once the project is complete, those two lines will be stacked, and Northland Reliability Project will take the place of the other right of way. So it decreases the impact of right of way. Co-location of about 11 miles in Aitkin County, and the alignment shifted west of Swat onto tax forfeited lands to avoid some residences there. Here's kind of a zoomed in map of that. We're taking all of those lines, so we're not necessarily we're bumping the Northland Reliability Project so we don't increase the right of way against the residences, and that's near the Swat area there. And you can also see that we have created a larger route width in that area as well. Again, not much has changed in the sequencing of construction. We are starting in phase 1. That's down in Benton and Sherburne counties. That's the realignments that were taking place down there. That will actually start this winter. Phase 2 will come from Benton County up to the Cuyuna Series Compensation Station. They're in Crow Wing County. There's a lot of changes in that area. And then phase 3, 2027 in this area, 2027 to 2029, Cuyuna Series Compensation up to the Northland Iron Range Substation in Grand Rapids. A lot of things to still consider here. The engineers are working very, very diligently on trying to come up with designs, pole placements, things like that. Field surveys in some locations that we weren't able to get to in the last few years. So there's a lot of folks out there doing cultural resource surveys, wetland, birds, bats, bees, biological studies. Of course, state, federal, and local permitting is still happening. We're working very closely with the Minnesota DNR. And one of the bigger things that will start to happen here is the soil borings and geotechnical work. Again, project-wide, same type of thing. We're starting the process of road use agreements, crossing, MnDOT right-of-way permits. We're foundation construction, probably October 25 in phase 1 there, like I said, material delivery access, basic things that happen. And this is all happening in phase 1, so nothing happening in this area up until probably 2027. So nothing to worry about here right now. Some of the contractors that you might see out on the right of ways, you have Land Service Company. They'll be the ones that are working on the easements. And you have surveying and environmental. You have Brown Intertech. They'll be doing the soil borings. HDR and Mergent will be out there doing cultural resource surveys. And M&R and West doing the biological and wetlands. And then our construction and restoration teams, Michaels was awarded the bid. They will be doing the construction of the entire line. And Westwood is doing a lot of our survey grading work.
Oh.
And stop me at any time if you guys have any questions here. So construction steps, again, segment 2, phase 1, segment 2, I know that might get a little confusing, but that's starting here in 2025. They'll be doing some tree clearing here in the wintertime, structure and staking investigations, foundation installation, and then they'll assemble and set the structures, and then the wire installation, and then the end is cleanup and restoration. So it's kind of a timeline of how things happen here. Field surveys, again, they did start in 2023, but they'll continue here from May to November out in the field, and they'll continue into 2025. Hopefully we'll be done with all the field surveys and environmental surveys at the end of 2025 here. Real estate process, we're kind of gearing up for the construction phase, so a lot of this time was spent getting right of entry so we could get those field surveys done and get onto people's properties that we have that we know where the line was going to be. And then they moved into the easement process, negotiating easements with the landowners. This will be an ongoing process, and we'll be in constant contact with the landowners as this process evolves. So, this probably will never stop until the commencement of construction here. So, again, easement options are underway and presented to the landowners, and easements were created. The exhibits are finalized, and then the easements are presented to the landowners with some negotiation and then hopefully a signature. What can landowners expect during construction? Again, the surveys is a big thing. People, a lot of hustle and bustle out on the right of ways for construction staking. You might get a little bit of noise and dust. We try our best to keep the dust down and to keep the construction activity to a minimum, and we'll work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, we don't have to worry about this until 2027 in this area. Vegetation clearing, erosion control measures, things like that. Temporary lane closures, we're hoping to keep that to a minimum as well, but we'll work with the road associations to keep the impacts low. I made that pretty short and sweet. Again, you can connect with us at northlandreliabilityproject.com. You can send us an email, or you can call our hotline at 218-864-6059. Do we have any questions?
Commissioners,
No, I don't, thank you.
very
Coming along.
informative, concise presentation, Zach.
I'm trying to get them down a little bit here. So
So what is the ultimate completion date?
2030 is
30?
Yep, 2030 is in service. That's
Are
what
there
we're-
more hoops that you have to jump through?
Not necessarily hoops, I guess you could say. We are still working with the Minnesota DNR and all of our water crossing and land crossing permits. Obviously, the easement process is ongoing. That's always not necessarily a hurdle, but it's time consuming, and we want to make sure that everybody's treated fairly and we go through that process correctly. So those are, and I guess we can't call them hoops, but those are the items that were high on the list right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Commissioner Carney, it pretty much goes through your district. Do you have any comments?
I've not heard any concerns as of yet. We'll see once we start operations.
Okay. Yep.
And we'll be in close contact.
And we'll keep you up to speed. I don't know if I'll be in here twice or 3 times a year. I think I was hitting it once a quarter. But at this time, I might hold off a little bit until the next meeting, until things start moving along. And my cell phone's always on. So if you have a question, any of your constituents have any problems or concerns, feel free to call me.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, Zach. We appreciate
Not a
the
problem.
updates.
Thank you very much for having us. Appreciate it.
You bet. Next item, Land Commissioner, DJ. And by design, with the consent agenda, I thought since you're up here, let's go back to items 2A, B, and AC.
Yep, perfect.
So you can get outside in the hot weather.
Yeah.
And this was taken off consent agenda because there were some questions, concerns, as there always is.
Sure. Yep. And these were ones, I'm not sure which one is first, if it was the Heritage Land one. Yep, okay.
Yes.
Yep, so the Heritage Fund Initiative, and Brian Leidinger here, Area Supervisor with DNR, is here as well, so he can answer any other questions or anything that I might not have the answer to. But this is something that was brought to the board December 20th. There was an initial letter of support that was actually signed by the board for this acquisition. These are the former potlatch lands that were scattered throughout 11 counties. There was a kind of a local committee that was formed to determine where some of these lands were going to go. The original, I'll back up. The lands were originally potlatch. Conservation Fund ended up purchasing them from potlatch. And then the Northern Waters Land Trust was seeking outdoor heritage funds to purchase these lands and then to donate them to either the DNR or the county, depending on where the management was best. So there was a working group that was formed with tribal representation, DNR, myself from the county to kind of determine of the parcels that were located in Aitkin County, which ones were best for DNR management and which ones were best for county management. The county ended up with 320 acres down in Spalding, section 35 of Spalding. And then these are the ones that the Northern Waters Land Trust will be conveying after. I don't know if they have quite purchased them yet, but we'll be purchasing them and then we'll be transferring them to DNR for management.
And so that- Mr.
Quits,
Chair,
yeah, open for discussion, commissioners.
So the DNR will get 686 acres.
Correct.
Now, we get pilt off of that?
Correct. Yep.
Does anybody know how much we would get if we sold it to a private?
At auction.
Or at auction?
If they were previously owned by Conservation Fund, sold to Northern Waters Land Trust. The PILT payment on it right now is $9.86 an acre is what the PILT payment will be on those.
Why is it so high?
So that is,
$9.86 an acre.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Could you step up to the mic, sir? We're gonna be asking some very
Leitner.
pointed questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for the record, could you state your name and position, please?
Yeah, I am Brian Leidinger. I'm the Area Force Supervisor here at Aitkin.
Did you have a question for him?
No, I just,
No,
yeah.
did you?
I do.
You've got the floor,
Yeah.
Commissioner.
As Commissioner Westland was saying, that PILT dollar amount,
Yep.
can you explain that?
That-
The amount of that, because the rest of the PILT payment isn't that high.
No,
And yeah, that's why I don't know why it's so high, because we don't get,
We don't, in our PILT payments, we don't get this amount of money.
Correct. No, and it's going to vary whether it's where it's the state land, whether it's depending on exact location, and then the county tax forfeited land, we get a set rate of that. So the PILT payments, there's formulas for
The state,
for-
and there's formulas for the county, is what you're saying.
correct. Yeah. Yep. There's different variations on what the PILT payments are. So we get more money for lands that are in wildlife management areas. But
county.
The county does.
correct.
Okay, is any of this land buildable land, or is this all wetlands? Because God knows we don't need any more wetlands right now.
Yeah,
It's a mix of forest land. Potlatch bought it for timber production.
okay.
So, and they were, like I said, they were a company that was, buying it to feed their mill.
Sure.
They were actually got to the point where they were liquidating their assets. Conservation Fund then came in and purchased it because they didn't want to see that land developed and sold off. And then Northern Waters Land Trust came in and thought that this would be an opportunity to take these lands, keep them in conservation and keep them managed.
Yep.
So,
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Commissioner Sample.
when the DNR, the county gets land like this, okay, my question is, do we have other higher land that could be developed that we're taking this, that we couldn't put into the development? You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, depending on what the county board wanted to do, we could certainly have a no net gain of county land, where if we acquired county land, that we go ahead and then we sell off county land. I think it's a slippery slope. But yeah, certainly there's options to offset that. One thing I would note that the Conservation Fund and the Northern Waters Land Trust, they are non-taxable entities, so they will.
They are, yes.
Yep, they are non-taxable entities. The Conservation Fund actually had been paying taxes, although they did not need to. So with the Northern Waters Land Trust purchasing this land, they certainly have the option of hanging on to it and not paying taxes with it. they have the option of selling it, developing it or whatever, so.
Yeah, I would like to make a point here so that we're under the same understanding that
Yep.
so often they say a nonprofit is taking the funding to buy this land up and then transfer it to DNR.
Mm-hmm.
We need to remember that this funding is tax dollars, no matter if it's nonprofit
Oh,
or
sure,
not.
yeah.
It's still taxpayer dollars, and we need to be conservative with those funding. So,
And my thing is that if we're going to acquire land, then if we have other land that is developable, that
we take a look at that.
we take a look at that. Tit for tat.
Yeah.
And why do you say a slippery slope?
Just because there's in the past with the development, sometimes taking land out of the county management, putting it back onto the tax rolls in the long run can reduce money that is generated off of those lands for the county. You could have added expenses with putting infrastructure into those lands when you have the need for fire service, bus services. It has to be looked at very strategically in whether your long-term, the plan that you set out to have is actually going to be accomplished. And when you're taking those lands that you're managing for public benefit, public use, whether it's revenue for the county, whether it's recreation opportunities or whatnot, when you're pulling that away from the public, putting it out onto the tax rolls or getting it back into the public hands, making sure that those are good fits for where they're at, and that you're not adding additional expenses to that to get services into those different parcels. So, and then this is land. This is going to the request here. This is land that is not going to the county. This is land that's
Right, to the state.
Yep, that's going to the state of Minnesota.
I do have one further question, Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
And this is to you, sir.
Yes.
I know that in the recent months that land has been transferred back over to the tribal nations. Is this land here that's being transferred back to you, is there any talk or discussion of this land being turned back to the tribal nation?
No, there hasn't been any discussion. And this land, this is gonna be transferred to Division of Forestry, and
Okay.
we manage our assets, land assets strategically, just like the land department, so.
Right.
Including selling land, like, last fall I sold a parcel that was non-essential for forestry operations,
Right.
but it was on a lake by Hill City, and.
Sure.
And returned that to tax rolls. I think it was bid up to, it's 30 acres on a remote lake, and I think it sold for $180,000.
So you guys are also with land sales also, so.
Yeah, so we try and, parcels that aren't fitting into our timber management, where we do, regularly trying to offer some of those parcels.
Right, and the local lumber industries and loggers will benefit from this.
Absolutely. So this property has a lot of younger aspen on it. Potlatch logged it all off about 20 years ago. So I expect in another 20 years there'll be or less some harvesting going on, and aspen's our most valuable resource.
All right, thank you so much. That's
Yes.
all I have.
Commissioner Westerland.
So Brian, I know that with the way things are with the legislator and the governor and all this stuff going down in St. Paul, you know, they were threatening to cut 30% of our PILT. Now they're trying to cut our CPA. So I'm just saying, it's either one or the other. So that's why this really hurts Aitkin County, when the state and the county don't understand the process. The state especially, because it's state, we put into that Clean Water Fund or the Heritage Fund or whatever, and some nonprofit, I could not buy a piece of property and apply for that grant.
No.
And that's difficult to swallow sometimes when you get a big nonprofit. I mean, we have another one here coming up too. How can a state entity run this land with state dollars, and it's given to them. They don't even have to buy it. We buy it and give it to you because it's our taxpayer dollars. I mean, it's a vicious circle, and it's wrong, in my eyes anyway. I think it's this is probably because potlatch is potlatch. I mean, it's been gone for a while.
Yeah, I understand that, and there's such a bigger part of this, though, the economic opportunity of the timber industry and
Yeah.
managing these lands for long-term forest production and all that economy is so important to this area as well, and the recreation
And
value.
so is Lake Shore.
So is Lake Shore.
So why, DNR did a study. We just got the study here 3 months ago, that they did a study about all the Lake Shore property that they should be paying for. And they just stick their nose up and it's gone. I mean, they don't even talk about it. They don't want to deal with it. Most of the counties that are, St. Louis County, Falls, all these upper counties, northern counties should be able to sell that property. Or the state should sell it, and sell it
private,
off
yeah.
to private people and make some money, so we're not in this hole. That way, we get a little tax dollars, you guys get some of that tax dollars. I mean, it's just,
Mark?
Yeah, and, excuse me, an administrative change request. Prior to you guys approving a resolution or voting on a resolution, we'll need a motion to move this to 4B on our agenda.
Pardon me?
We'll need a motion to approve to move this line item to 4B underneath DJ from 2.5, and then you can vote on the resolution.
We just rearranged. That doesn't call for
yeah, we just rearranged it.
Oh,
since 2.5,
yes.
and it was kind of a last-minute decision. DJ was on deck next.
Okay.
It falls under him in land department, so we made the discretionary decision simply to move that. If you prefer
April?
to,
I can make a motion to move the two agenda items under Dennis's, what number was it?
It would be AB and AC moving to 4B and 4C.
So said. Chair, I make that motion.
Support.
okay, motion on the floor by Commissioner Carney, supported Commissioner LaVisca, to reroute the numbering.
Now April won't yell at us later.
we go.
So I appreciate that.
And things have changed.
Discussion pertaining to the rerouting, the renumbering. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is carried.
Okay.
And I presume that was for both AB and AC.
Right.
Correct.
Everybody on the same page there?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
now according to Robert's Rules of Order, we can proceed to the primary issue.
Correct. Thank
And
you.
that is action on AB.
Commissioner Westerlin, were you finished?
Yeah, well, I think we've already
Made the point.
we've already made
Yeah,
the
and-
decision, but that was, a couple months ago, so I'm just
Right, yep. There-
reiterating that.
Yeah, it's basically there's a motion or a resolution to adopt for the approval of the DNR's acquisition on the heritage lands. There was a letter of support that this board approved on December 20th of 2022. But just to follow up with Commissioner Westerlin, when the Outdoor Heritage Council was set up, that was what every nonprofit was doing, was going to that council to get
Yep.
money to purchase land,
absolutely.
to lock it up. And I agree wholeheartedly. It's taxpayer dollars that the 3/8 of 1%, and it's rough grouse, it's pheasants forever. Forest Capital Partners, which has the old Boise Cascade lands up in Cooch, had an easement. The Blandon lands had an easement. And you're right, it's taxpayer money that's that these different conservation groups, whether it's Trust for Public Land, Conservation Fund, Northern Waters Land Trust.
Well, they're
that-
getting all the land from the state and then giving it back to the state to run, and they don't have enough people to,
You know,
run any of this stuff that they got going on.
So, and that's why, from my standpoint, and I know DNR has taken the same stance as well, is that they have what was called a SLAM, and that was a strategic land asset management, and that was carefully looking at where your acquisitions are, if you're going to be getting them, and taking the opportunity to look at parcels that would be better served to be put on the tax rolls. And we had an auction in December that was land that people had requested we put up for sale, and we went ahead and we put them up for sale, and they sold, went back on the tax rolls. So
Mr. Chair, two questions.
Commissioner LaVisca.
First, would these lands be usable moving forward for recreational uses?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And then, number two, as DJ was kind of talking about, we've had requests, like if somebody finds a parcel of land that you guys own and say, you know, this would be really easy to access, we want to buy this, can we make that request to the state to sell that?
They can make the request and then we review it.
Right.
And look at the SLAM process and see, a lot of times they're requesting, when they get those requests, they're like parts of large blocks of our forest, but in the case of that parcel on the lake
Yep.
last fall,
guys were able to
we
do
put it up for sale. There's another parcel I'm working on selling by Hill City as well that a private party requested, so yes.
All right, well, I appreciate that you guys look into getting what we can back on the tax rolls.
Absolutely.
With that being said, a motion would be in order to the primary question
Make the motion
or approval.
for approval, yep.
Motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner
It's
LaVisca,
already-
supporting the recommendation. Support.
I'll support.
Motion is supported by Commissioner Carney. Any further discussion? And again, the bottom line, county boards all over the state are frustrated with the governor, with the St. Paul taking away our PILT and the proposed legislative action in St. Paul, removing $135,000 from our AIS, half of which goes to the sheriff's office, local government aid, not to mention the vast amount of unfunded mandates through Health and Human Services. So that's a little preface in terms of the board's concern. Further discussion, hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion's carried. On to item two, or excuse me, the next item, which was formerly 280AC.
Yeah, and the next was, if I'm reading that right, is the notice, just a notice, this is a informational only, this is an 80-acre acquisition in Savannah State Forest. And this is one, there's some acquisitions, that the DNR would come in and get support from, and there's other acquisitions where, depending on where the funding source comes from, they would come to the county board for feedback or for approval. And this is one that was just finalized here, and I think this one is just merely a notice. They're not looking for a resolution or anything, but just a notice that transfer took place. So similar to the
See,
last
they
one.
don't even, why even bring it?
It common
Sorry.
Courtesy.
common courtesy.
We like to operate by courtesy as much
Yeah.
as we can.
Well,
And that part is appreciated.
All right.
Anything else on these two matters?
I have one question, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Sample?
This Heritage Foundation that's buying this land and giving it to you guys?
It's the Northern Waters Land Trust is buying it, and the project is called the Heritage Lands Project.
Okay, where are they getting their money to buy this land? And they're taking it off the tax rolls,
Yeah,
right?
Northern Waters Land Trust got it from Lessard Sam Outdoor Heritage Council.
So it wasn't on the tax roll.
It wasn't on
It
the,
was PILT, and it's gonna remain PILT, correct?
correct,
Until the governor decides,
to cut
To,
bill.
to cut PILT.
cut it.
And that's our concern as we keep losing land, and it's not DNR, we're not attacking DNR, please don't take it that way, is we're having to start becoming concerned with our tax roll land, and it's disappearing. Farmland is disappearing, as you well know. These nonprofits buy up, they get the grant money, this tax dollars at $3,000 an acre, they buy a old farm up, and then they don't do anything with the land. They're supposed to turn it back, but they don't do anything with land, and then Pheasants Forever just turns it over to DNR. So a viable, vibrant farm is now brush that's not benefiting anybody. It's not benefiting the county, it's not benefiting the state other than the land's there and maybe some birds fly through or deer walk through or et cetera. So that's where our concerns are starting to come is we don't have a lot of land in Aitkin County that's not wetland. So you're gonna hear this on and on as you come to and you go to different county boards and talking to them through the guise of DNR. So be prepared because these are the issues that we're looking at. We have to look at the funding of the county, so. Not to beat up on you, please don't think we are.
No, I
Because we're
understand.
not.
Yeah.
I guess I could say for the board, we're drawing the line in the sand now. This has come to the point that we have to find out how we can better run the county, and it's through tax dollars, revenues on land.
And
So-
we can't tax our seniors
Absolutely.
out of their homes.
Thank you. I'll get off my soapbox, sorry.
Thank you. Retrofitting the lighting. Next item. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Say hi to Michelle.
I will.
Haven't seen her for a long time.
So, yeah, so this is another one that has come up at previous board meetings at the March 11th, 2025. Dave McMillan and myself were here looking at the LED retrofitting for Long Lake Conservation Center. Looking for direction from the county board on this one. They did go out and put an application out for bids to do a complete retrofit for LED lighting for Long Lake Conservation Center. The low bid came back at just under $37,000. Long Lake Conservation Foundation said that they would kick in 20% of that. So there's actually dollars that are coming in from the foundation. And I think I had that, yeah, $7,392, which brings the total cost of that retrofit down to $29,571.13. So the Mille Lacs Electric will actually fund or has a low interest loan that they would supply or that they would finance this for Long Lake Conservation Center. When this was brought to the board the last time, the board had some questions on what those terms would be, things like that. It's a 5-year term, 3% interest rate. There's an admin fee that they would waive for Long Lake. So we actually have a loan payment that would be roughly $531.25 a month, with an average savings of $653.33. So once the retrofit is in place, they're looking at those monthly electric bills actually dropping $653, and then that loan payment then would be $553. So they would be looking basically at $100 savings for those first 5 years until that loan is paid off. Then they would be realizing that $653 savings. So.
And we'd get the $5,000 rebate.
Correct. And then after the project is complete, Mille Lacs Electric has a $5,000 rebate for this LED conversion. It is based off of the number of electrical units or fittings that are switched over. There's quite a few of them at Long Lake. So they estimate that Long Lake would hit the maximum, which is that $5,000. So that would then can be knocked off of what that loan amount was. So
we'd actually be gaining a little over $100 a month
correct
with the rebate money.
Yep. If the board decided that it would want to enter into a loan with that. For that project. And then the question that was brought up previously when this came to the county board was what would be the options, or is there an option to just pay for that outright through fund balance through the county and not have, not enter into that loan for that project? So that is what we're looking at, whether the board would like to look at fund balance or look to have it financed through Mille Lacs Electric, so.
And this is simply, DJ is looking for direction, not a motion.
Correct.
Looking at the percentage, and that's why the question was posed originally. Why borrow when we've got the money in the bank? But looking at the financial leverage, as it's called, they're charging 3%. The county is making roughly, what, Kathleen, about 4% return on the investments?
No?
I don't know.
According,
That, so I'm not quite sure.
according to the last report, we were around that 4% return. So it's a 1% gain, financial leverage speaking. Plus the other amenities that go with this. It appears, just from a numerical standpoint,
Sure.
that it would be in the financial best interest of the county to go with the loan.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment?
Yes.
If you're looking at using county fund balance,
Thanks.
Thank you.
because I believe Long Lake doesn't have much of a fund balance to use, so we'd be using like revenue fund
Exactly.
balance. The board would have to make a motion approval that you're gonna transfer funds from the county to Long Lake
As
for
we've done
that
in the
use.
past. Yeah, good point, Kathleen. Thank you. What's the will of the board? What's your recommendation, DJ?
I guess, I could go either way on it. It has been, Long Lake has been running, without taking money from fund balance for a couple of years now. They had a nice endowment, that was a gift that was given to them. And so it would kind of follow the precedence that, that there isn't any additional county, fund balance dollars would be taxpayer county dollars. Where this would be a loan that Long Lake would be paying off itself, so, I guess I really didn't have a preference one way or the other.
What's the feeling of the board?
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may. So our payment's 531. Our estimated savings is 653. But then if you look at the $5,000 rebate, that's another $100 a month.
Yep.
We're making $200 a month without taking anything out of the fund balance right now that we're making 4% on. I think it's a no-brainer.
Well, but are we still gonna get the $5,000 rebate?
Correct, yeah,
Rebate,
yes.
that's gonna come no matter what, how we pay it.
Right,
Yep.
but I'm just saying, why
That
take,
helps to tip the scales.
it's the big thing that tips the scale with me
Yep.
is we're actually saving $200 a month.
I think having that it would be a self-sustaining loan, right? It would be Long Lake paying it off themselves rather than, as DJ said, not bringing in extra tax.
Correct.
dollars.
Making a
Yep,
transfer.
Yep. It would come off of our electric monthly bills, which are on average are roughly just over $4,000 a month.
Right, so this would stay entirely internal within Long Lake rather than
Yep,
pulling
yep,
extra
correct.
funds in.
Right.
Is there a consensus
Yeah, I'm for the loan.
Okay.
to
Yep.
go with the loan?
Yep, I will come back to this board with
The official,
the official, for official approval.
any other comments by the board on this subject? Thanks, DJ.
Yep.
Next item, public health. Aaron? I don't see Aaron. Sarah? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Aaron is out unexpectedly, so I guess I will see what we have here.
It's a request for a public
Request for
hearing
public hearing.
Yes.
regarding the opioid.
Do you want to, yes, that would help.
There you go.
Yes.
So annually, there is always an opioid presentation that's part of our settlement committee. And so we are just asking for some time to do a presentation as part of a public meeting on the next board meeting on May 27th at 9:15. That will be a presentation by myself, just doing an annual update of our opioid funding.
I'll make a motion to approve the settlement.
Okay,
Meeting?
does that time, Mark, since you're coordinating?
Yes, that time does work. We have another public hearing request.
And this is not a
that'll come
public
up.
hearing.
No.
Just a.
This just has to be open to the
Annual
public
meeting.
for
Annual meeting.
attendance.
It's an agenda item.
It's an agenda item.
That'll be scheduled for approximately 9:15.
Mr.
Is
Chair.
that commensurate since you've got the floor right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Westerland, support.
I'll support.
Motion supported, Commissioner LaBisca, discussion.
Yep. So this isn't, it has to be open to the public, but do we have a requirement for notice for a certain amount of time or no on this?
So once this is approved by the board, a notice will go into the paper
And that
this
will be
week.
enough time for a notice?
Yep, I will
legally?
have that in tomorrow. It has to be in by Thursday this week. I've already spoken with the
Okay.
Independent Age.
Good.
Now, is this or is this not a public hearing?
It just has to be a public informational meeting, just to meet the opioid settlement funding criteria.
What prompts the question is the fact that you're talking about advertising it
Yeah,
as an official public notice or just,
Mr. Chair, I do believe it's a public hearing.
that's what we're trying to get at.
Yeah.
I'm a little new with this yet. Liz
That's-
did do one last year, so.
And we followed this process last year with Liz.
Okay, that was our original thought, but then it kind of,
Went sideways.
and Commissioners Westerland, Commissioner LaVisca, is that commensurate with
Sure,
your
public
intent and your
hearing.
motion?
Yep, sounds good to me.
9:15.
Okay. Further discussion? Question, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion's carried.
See you next meeting.
See you in
See you in
2
2
weeks.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Under the budget process, County Auditor Kathleen Ryan. Welcome again, Kathleen.
I'm up here so I can see the screen. So we are starting the 2026 budget process, which is kind of crazy because we just finished the 2025. But today we have the timeline that is proposed that we will follow as we go through the budgeting process for the upcoming year to have the 2026 budget approved. So just wanted to review that with the board and get any input if you had any adjustments or anything looking at the timeline. Otherwise, I'd ask the board to approve this timeline. And then I'll be working with April until we get our administrator in place as far as getting out department head information and such.
Commissioners, question, the process has commenced, actually,
It's a good process.
thanks to the leadership of Kathleen. Questions? And you're looking for a simple consensus.
Yep.
Looks good to me.
I think so.
Yep, we'll follow this timeline then, and like I say, we're gonna get out information to the department heads, and so they can start prepping their information, and budget, committee is scheduled to meet monthly, so we'll be reviewing information and having discussions, and, as things come up, we'll come forward to the board.
And you just hit a key point as things come up. A lot of this is contingent upon what happens in St. Paul. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation, but if they go into special session for heaven knows how long, that's gonna put up us against the wall to meet our timing for the preliminary levy hearing.
Yeah, so we do have to approve the preliminary levy by the end of September, so that will be our initial, deadline to start with. But we have time in between now and then to kind of work out those numbers.
Any other comments, questions? Thanks, Kathleen. Thanks again for your
You're
leadership.
welcome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
You too.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
We got 10 minutes before this hearing. Should we just take a 10-minute break?
If you'd Is that a consensus?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. We'll take approximately 5 to 10 minute break. We'll call the meeting back to order, reconvene. On to environmental services items. Mr. Andrew Carlstrom, Director. Welcome, Andrew.
Yes, good morning, Mr.
You've
Chair,
got a series of
Commissioners.
5 different items here.
Yes,
so
sir, I'm the,
You just go ahead and take the lead.
yes, sir. Okay, so the public hearing, we'll go ahead and get that going. We're taking comments only today on the proposed feedlot. And I'm going to go ahead and read my memorandum just to refresh everybody's memory. Aitkin County does not regulate nor has accepted delegation from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency's feedlot permit program. Mr. Ken Sizemore, who owns and operates Angie's Meats, is proposing to construct a feedlot at 28096 480th Street in Palisade. The feedlot is proposed to be greater than 300 animal units, but less than 500 in size. According to Minnesota statutes 116.07 subdivision 7, it says after January 1st, 2001, a county that has not accepted delegation of the feedlot permit program must hold a public meeting prior to the agency issuing a feedlot permit for a feedlot facility within 300 or more animal units, unless another public meeting has been held with regard to the feedlot facility to be permitted. Feedlots are a permitted use in open zoning, which is where this feedlot is proposed. It's an open zoning. So Aitkin County does not require a conditional use permit for this proposal. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency is the approving authority, and the Aitkin County Board of Commissioners can either support or not support this proposal. And that's what we're looking at today, is simply to endorse this request. The approval is with the MPCA, and they have, unfortunately, they weren't able to attend the meeting today. So in closing, the applicant will work with a representative from the MPCA feedlot program in order to ensure the health and safety of the environment is always a priority for this proposed project. And that is about all I have at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Andrew. As a preface, as was stated, minutes will reflect that the public hearing is now in session, and the board will take any public comment. If you could come up to the podium, please state your name if you have a comment. And just a reminder, we will adhere to the rules of public comment as near as possible. So with that being said, I would call for any public comment on this issue. Yes, Lynn, come on up.
My name is Lynn Meisner, and I am a farmer in Aitkin County in Mike Carney's Commissioner District, and also aquatic biologist and a fish and wildlife manager. So I have a short letter that I would like to read into the record, if I may.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to just preface that by saying I applaud the county's land use plan that encourages the maintenance of a strong agricultural base. I'm not anti-farming. I am, as I said, I am a farmer, a livestock farmer. And but I think that we've noticed that with climate change or accelerated climate change or global climate change, we are seeing the influx of broadacre agriculture into Aitkin County, and some of the areas that we are farming in Aitkin County are not suitable for the type of farming that's going on. I see fields underwater regularly. You might remember I was part of the emergency management team during our 2012 flood event, and this area that we're talking about was underwater for an extended period of time. It's very close to the Mississippi River, so I have some concerns about the project, and I would like to just read you my short letter. So the subject is an objection to the proposed feedlot operation at 28096 480th Street, Palisade. And my letter is Aitkin County, more than 90% of which is classified as wetland, has a closer relationship to groundwater than most places. Almost all rural residences and businesses rely on groundwater for drinking water. The county is prone to major flooding, and the Mississippi, Willow, and Rice rivers drain the county every time it rains, sending nutrients and contaminants downstream. The property being considered for construction of this concentrated cattle feeding operation or feedlot is adjacent to County Road 3, 480th Street, a major thoroughfare that connects Palisade and McGregor, Minnesota. It is surrounded by residential and recreational properties as well as other farm properties. On its website, the Centers for Disease Control says that feedlots, concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs, can contaminate groundwater. It explains that animal waste, manure from animal feeding operations, can contaminate surface water when flooding of these sites occurs. Animal waste, manure from animal feeding operations, and wastewater from commercial industrial operations may contain pathogens such as E. coli, hormones, antibiotics, chemicals such as nitrates, phosphorus, and ammonia, heavy metals such as zinc and copper. Surrounding residents are concerned about the effect of the proposed CAFO on air and water quality. And I would just add that I know this because I'm a township supervisor in Logan Township. Health and safety, noise, traffic, and quality of life we value in Logan Township. In Logan Township, we believe in the inherent right of people to enjoy their properties in peace, to have clean water and clean air. I ask you to deny this permit, which I realize you're not issuing the permit, but I'd like you to not endorse it, endorse the application, on the grounds that it will affect water quality, air quality, and the enjoyment of life in Logan Township. It would be an inappropriate use for this wetland property so close to the Mississippi River.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lynn. Further public comment? And again, sir, if you could state your name and place of
My name
residence.
is Christopher Gamer. I'm the farm operations manager at Lynn's Farm, meaning that I strongly support agriculture. It is my life. We have a diversified animal operation at Lynn's Place where we're doing farming right, okay? I would ask that before you stand in support of this permit, that you go and drive down Highway 90 between Albert Lee and Sioux Falls. I come from southern Minnesota, and I can tell you that it reeks of manure for hundreds of miles because of confined animal feeding operations. I do not want this in my neighborhood. And I ask that you further inform yourselves about the impacts of these kind of operations on our communities. Agriculture done right solves a lot of the world problems. Agriculture done wrong creates them. I'm a member of the Regenerative Agricultural Alliance, and I hope that moving forward, Aitkin County can stand in support of regenerative practices that create healthy food in a healthy environment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Is there any further public comment?
My name is Reg Gerke. I live directly across from the proposed feedlot. I bought that property 22 years ago for the specific purpose that at one point I will retire there, and I definitely do not support this proposal. I have grown up in the city and I've grown up in the country. All my relatives have grazed and had cattle through the years, and I love this area. My well is only 35 feet deep. I'm very concerned of the contamination that it'll do to my well. There is a holding pond and retention pond on the proposed property that I'm sure that the contaminants from the cattle will contaminate that holding pond that is there. If you've ever dug a hole in that area, which I have put in fence posts and dug stands and all sorts of things in my property, you dig down about a foot and you hit Aitkin clay, gray clay. It sticks to everything. Water does not penetrate that. Anything is gonna run off of there. It's going to run off and run into the water. It's gonna run into that retention pond. It is going to run, and it's not gonna penetrate the water. It is gonna contaminate the Mississippi River, the Willow River, and in the ditches and contaminate the water. I'm concerned about that. I plan on retiring there very soon, and the last thing I want to do is have all that cattle across the street. I'm not opposed to cattle. There are neighbors that have cows. I'm just opposed to that many, that concentrated across from me. Okay, so please do not support this proposal.
Thanks for your input, sir. Further public comment?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Michelle Peterson. I live catty corner from the proposed feedlot. I have a letter that I'll provide, but I just wanted to provide some pointers regarding the feedlot, knowing that we also farm on our property too. First is environmental danger. Runoff from the feedlot will absolutely enter the Mississippi River system, impacting not just our community, but millions downstream. Overgrazing, which is already an issue on that property, will create additional runoff onto the recreational trail directly in front of it, which could also facilitate the spread of unwanted bacteria to other parts of the state. Feedlot operations are known to release nitrates, phosphorus, and pathogens, contributing to toxic algae blooms and dead zones. There are many full-time residents as well as vacation homes within close proximity, and almost all have groundwater wells. This can have an effect on our own well sources. We need assurance and proof that our water and recreational waters are protected, and right now we don't have that. The Minnesota Board of Animal Health has been monitoring the New World screwfly, which the U.S. eradicated approximately 60 years ago, something that took livestock operations almost 30 years to recover from. If any of the cattle from Mexico or even surrounding states could propose a parasite into our state and other states, which become a federal matter. The other thing, as far as roads, constant movement of manure can leave residue from tires and movement on the roads that can be tracked to other nearby homes and farms. Biosecurity is important for all who have animals of their own, and this can breach that. Threats to public health. Feedlots are known to emit dust, odors, ammonia, and even antibiotic-resistant bacteria. These pollutants harm lungs, trigger asthma, and affect vulnerable populations, especially children and the elderly. This property in its totality has documented wetlands and is in a low-lying area, which when there is rain and snowmelt, breeds additional pests like mosquitoes, flies, etc., which are all public health concern. A large population of animals in a small area are known to bring diseases. One in particular that has no signs of slowing down is the current avian bird flu, which is known to affect large cattle operations where the cattle are held in tight areas. While most reports show dairy operations to be affected, this is only because dairy operations test the milk of their herd, not something that is normally done in beef cattle. This location has a large wild bird migration due to the nearby rivers, lakes, and wetlands. This is sure to help to spread the virus, which there is no cure for at this time. This can absolutely affect local wildlife, other local farms, the cattle on the proposed feedlot, and even the health of those living and or working within the feedlot. Livability and property values. No one wants to live or spend time near a facility that smells, pollutes, and damages roads. The owner of the cattle has multiple acres already that they live on, but for some reason doesn't want to put the feedlot on their own property, but far away from theirs. This project threatens our property values and long-term viability as a community, which also includes recreational visitors. When the property values decrease, will the county reassess, and what impact will this leave on revenue for the county, townships, roads, and schools without those taxes? In closing, I just want to say that I am not anti-farming or anti-feedlot. We are pro-community, pro-clean water, pro-tourism in our small town, and pro-safety. I ask that you deny or do not support this feedlot proposal, as this just isn't the proper place for one.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. And may I provide my letter?
If you would, please. Thank you. Further public comment.
I am John Choate. I'm also a a farmer. I live halfway between here and where this site would be.
What was your name again, sir?
I'm John Choate.
John Choate.
Yeah. This is a shoot from the hip. I haven't prepared anything really, but bits and pieces I've heard and would probably restate. Have a consideration for the neighborhood when you consider endorsing or not. Consider the neighborhood because there are people around that, whatever. It is high water tables. We've heard that. We know that. It's flat ground up in that area. From my perspective as a cattle producer, the choosing of a site to put something like that, I think, could be better as far as elevation, drainage, wetlands, the whole 9 yards. That's just kind of some thoughts. The question I would have, how does this compare to others that we can look at? Anything in the general vicinity, meaning, 30-mile radius. Is there something similar that we could look at so we get a better warm, fuzzy feeling of it or a better view of it? As a comparison. Looking back at myself, as a comparison, I have about 100 animal units at my peak in a given year. I do cow-calf, I do a variety of things. As I mentioned, about 100 animal units at my peak. But I also have 400 acres to support that 100 animal units. Some people think I have a lot of cows. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Choate. Further public comment? Very quick. Again, we're adhering to the public comment rules. Everybody gets one chance to speak, but.
Okay, I just wanted to comment on something that John said. There is a feedlot operation west of us on the Willow River. The Willow River runs right through my property that has at times had the Willow River impaired by E. coli from runoff from that feedlot. So that might be another place that you might want to look at.
Thank you, Lynn. Further public comment? Is there any further public comment? Last call for public comment. Hearing none, the public hearing session of this meeting is hereby closed. With that being said, we'll proceed to the proposed resolution. Andrew?
Yes, sir. Aitkin County support, so resolution 2025-0513. Aitkin County support of 300 or more animal unit feedlot. Whereas Minnesota statutes 116.07 subdivision 7 requires counties that have not accepted delegation of the feedlot permit program to hold a public meeting prior to the MPCA issuing a feedlot permit for feedlot facility with 300 more animal units. Whereas Mr. Ken Sizemore from Angie's Acres is proposing the creation of the above said feedlot at 28096 480th Street, Palisade. And whereas the proposal meets the intent of encouraging a strong agricultural base, which is in accordance with Aitkin County's land use management plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the Aitkin County Board of Commissioners does hereby support this proposal and the creation of a 300 or more animal unit feedlot at the above address. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Andrew. Open for comments and discussion to the Board of Commissioners.
Chair, if I might.
Commissioner Carney.
Thank you. Andrew, for clarification, do we know if MPCA has already approved this request?
We do.
And have they approved it?
They have approved it, yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a public hearing for MPCA that they put out to have my constituents be able to talk to them about their concerns?
Not that I'm aware of. but we can always provide the contact name.
I think that we should do this. In fact, as well said, I'm all for farming too, as long as it doesn't have a detriment to the environment, our lakes and our rivers. But I find it lacking on MPCA's part that they're not more involved with the community. They're the one making the decision, and they're kind of putting it in our lap, which we have no decision authority on this. Whether we approve or disapprove this today, it has no impact whatsoever on what MPCA is going to allow this farmer to do. We can support or we cannot support, but I think we need, I think my constituents need interaction with MPCA for clarification, with details showing that it's not going to be a negative impact, right? We do have farms, we do have feedlots in Aitkin County that are as close, if not closer, to the Mississippi River. And I understand the concern with that. These feedlots were approved a long time ago. So we need to be very careful on what we support and what we don't support. If we have feedlots already in process, that they have already been approved, we as a board need to be very careful to be selective on who we're going to approve and not approve and support. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, from
Commissioner Sample?
Andrew, did you say the MPCA's already approved this?
Yes, sir.
So this letter's kind of a
moot point.
Excuse me, can I say something? I think I spoke to the MPCA feedlot compliance officer, and their trigger is this meeting. So if you recall, the previous meeting that triggered MPCA involvement was, that was rescinded. Your approval was rescinded in order to have a public meeting because it wasn't advertised at the time. So I think that they will, we're setting back the process today to its starting point for MPCA.
Is that your understanding, Andrew?
No, if I may read
If you would,
correspondence? Yes, sir.
The date too.
Yes, this was correspondence April 15th. The statute that requires, so good morning, I called and left a message yesterday, but figured I would follow up with an email as well. The statute that requires a non-delegated county to hold a public meeting has been in effect since 1998. This was put in place to ensure that no county process was being missed in the feedlot construction process. In regards to the construction short form permit that was applied for on March 31st, the statute requirement for that permit technically has been satisfied. With that being said, I realize that the county has opted to rescind their approval from that meeting and is planning to hold a meeting in May so additional residents within the county can attend. The meeting that will be held in May likely won't change the outcome of our permitting decision. The agency specifically looks at the proximity to waters and additional sensitive features that are on or near the property where the feedlot is proposed to be constructed. I am wondering what Aitkin County's stance is on the agency issuing the permit prior to the May meeting. I talked with the property owner yesterday, and they are anticipating cattle arriving in May. They stated they might be able to push back the dates the cattle would be arriving, but if they wait until mid-late May to start construction, they will be in a bind with nowhere to house the cattle. And that is from Courtney Frank, Environmental Specialist of the MPCA.
Yeah, your name, please.
Michelle Peterson. That would not pose an issue because the landowner, the person that's renting that land, already has numerous acres already.
And at this point, we're going to cut off further public comment since we've had that, unless it's a point of information, which actually these items have been. Commissioners, going to open it up for any comments or questions, discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner LaVisca.
Andrew, just to confirm, MPCA has already reviewed the site and approved for this use on that site.
As I understand, yes, sir.
Okay, and I know from experience that MPCA isn't really in the business of
Customer service.
permitting things or allowing things that are gonna affect water or air quality, because permitting in this state is extremely difficult as is. So I still stand as, if MPCA's approved this, they've obviously done some rigorous looking into this, because we know on this board that it's difficult to get things through the MPCA. So if they've approved it, I think I'm in good standing with it.
Further comments? Well, if I may offer a suggestion, considering that this appears to be a done deal with the final approving authority, the MPCA, the motion at hand is for this board to, as was previously done, to lend support for the project to MPCA. What may be appropriate, and this is open for discussion, considering that the MPCA has in essence approved that this Aitkin County Board waive any further action in this matter. Comments? And again, that's only a suggestion.
I'd still move support on it.
And that is your option, commissioners?
Well, and I had another question from Andrew. Andrew, have you talked to the MPCA?
Yes, I've had one visit with the MPCA.
And what is your take on what happens at this board today?
Just like my memorandum
I
said.
mean, like your letter said, but
Yes.
what was your take? We have somebody sitting out here that says they talked to the MPCA and they
Yep.
say they're waiting on us, but it's already a done deal.
Yeah.
What was your take from the MPCA?
That the proposer will work hand in hand with the MPCA environmental specialist.
And the proposer had said that he has a plan, and the MPCA required a plan for the manure,
Yes,
and it's gonna be hauled off the property.
yes, that's, yep.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Westerland?
So do they get a permit number? Do they get anything online proving that the MPCA has, here's your permit number, here's your, everything's up to code, everything's as MPCA wants? I mean, that's I think what we should be looking for. Something that has definitely approved them and, you know, because they can just say yes or no. And I don't know what that, you know, that could change in a week. So I think there's got to be some sort of trail of, you know, you could go in and put the gentleman's name in and maybe there's a
Yes.
feedlot permit number or something saying that he's already been approved.
Yes.
Because an email to me from the MPCA is.
Commissioner Carney?
If I might, I'm in a quandary here. And what is, I'll go back to what I said. MPCA has failed to provide us the documentation for us to make an educated decision. I can't vote yes or no on this. Sorry. I can't vote yes or no on this because I don't have all the information. I don't have the report saying, what are the requirements going to be? How often are they going to inspect it? How are they going to verify that there's not any contamination going on? None of us know this information. So for me to sit here and say, yeah, I support this, I think is irresponsible on my part. Or for me to sit here and say, hey, I approve this, is irresponsible. So we're not taking any more public comments.
Again, no further
Mr. Chair.
public comment at this point.
I have someone on the active Aitkin County feedlots who has over 300. I'm going to ask him how he got his approval and how, you know, that went. So that's going to be my source of, because MPCA tried to get through to them. I mean, we can't even get a garbage liner for 10 years. So, I mean, it's ridiculous.
So I think at this point, my position is, until we know more
Yeah,
information,
they're just-
I don't think this board should approve or deny support of this issue. I think we need more information.
Well, there's enough feedlots in Aitkin County.
Well, yeah, that's why I said.
And we are
have
all water, no matter
funds.
where you go.
Right.
There's no high water. I mean, there's no high ground hardly anywhere.
And again, I'll state, our support
We've had cattle also.
is not gonna start or stop this, or
No,
our
it's not.
non-support's not gonna
But
start
I
or
think we
stop
need to
this.
support the person who is going through and doing the right thing. And
I agree with that
I
too.
think that's very important. You know, you guys everybody wants to do the right thing for Aitkin County, for the water, for the pollution, for everything. And if MPCA says it's the right thing, they're the top dog. I don't know where else to go or who else to talk to. I mean, really.
Yeah, and as I've mentioned, my staff or myself, we don't have any training in feedlot management. We would certainly do it if we ever became a delegated county, but we're not.
Well, we're losing farms left and right,
Yes,
so we're
yeah.
not.
So we have to rely on the state.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
Well, the options available to the board would be for some type of resolution to table this matter. We're just kicking the can down the road and avoiding the inevitable. I would entertain a motion. Again, you've heard the recommendation.
I moved support, so that can either be seconded or die to lack of second.
We have a motion on the floor for support. That motion is made by Commissioner Labiska. Is there support to that motion?
Well, if the MPCA's already approved the permit, I support.
Okay, we have a second to support to that motion. Open for board discussion.
I think it's a moot point if they've already approved it.
Yes, we can do field work behind the scenes. I mean, we can
Well,
help.
my take is, as was said before, we want to support people doing the right thing. If he's gone through MPCA, if MPCA has approved it, he's doing it the right way.
Okay.
And the proposed feedlot may or may not even come close to or exceed that 300 head of cattle.
Right.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, we'll call the question by roll call vote. We'll go counterclockwise, starting with Commissioner Westerland.
Aye.
Commissioner Laviska.
Aye.
Commissioner Sample.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
As I stated at this time, I don't have enough information, so I'm a no.
And I will support the motion. The motion passes on a 4-1 vote. Thank you. Any further comments from you, Andrew, on this subject?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Andrew, is the MPCA going to be monitoring this so if it affects the water? If the guy that lives across the road has complaints on the water?
Yes, as I understand, yes. The proposer, the applicant is gonna be working with that feedlot environmental specialist.
I just need more information.
On to the next item, item 7C, the ATV trail.
All right, an environmental assessment worksheet is required for the Northwoods Regional ATV Trail Phase 1 and 1B in accordance with Minnesota Statute 4410.4300, Subpart 27, under public waters, public water wetlands, and wetlands. The assessment has been completed, and published, and reviewed by the EAW committee. We met on May 5th. Attached are the public notices, public comments, the findings of fact, and the record of decision for requesting the board for approval. And what we're requesting is that an EIS, an environmental impact statement, is not required for this project. I was going to ask if DJ would like to speak a little background on this project, if you would so be willing. And I'll-
Maybe not.
No.
Don't think so.
Okay, everybody's.
This is DJ in the spotlight.
But I didn't have anything to add. I think there are a couple commissioners that are on the Natural Resource Advisory Committee that have heard updates on this. The ATV committee, which has a couple representatives from the board on there as well, has also were a part of a meeting we had here a week ago that heard about the EAW and that process as well. So I didn't really have anything to add other than just that we, as we've been planning this trail as well, that we did not feel that an EIS was necessary either. So.
All right, thank you, EJ.
Commissioners? Comments, questions, or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the assessment worksheet.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Westerland approving.
Support.
Motion supported by Commissioner Sample. Lori, did you have further comments?
Just, let's get this rolling. We've been waiting way too long,
Giddy up.
way too long.
Mr. Chair, if I may, DJ,
Yeah.
will we be able to get all of this done
Yes.
for that grant timeline?
Yeah, the bonding dollars, there was an extension granted on that until December 31st of 2026. And right now, we have work that is taking place as we speak for additional wetland delineations, wetland reports, replacement plans, rare plant surveys, archaeology work. And right now we are on schedule for putting bids out for the portion of the trail that is west of State Highway 65. Those bids going out the 1st of September with an October 1st project start date. And then we have the portion that is east of Highway 65, bids going out over the winter with startup as soon as we can in the spring of 2026.
I guess my concern is where from March to November, they don't let us cut wood.
The EAW had addressed that it is limited regarding tree clearing, additional tree clearing in that time frame, and specifically in the pup season, which is June and July, for the endangered species, the northern long-eared bat. But we will be certainly working with DNR on that, and it is not in an area where there are known hibernaculum or known maternal roost trees. So we do have a little bit more leniency with that, with limited tree clearing during those time frames. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. And commensurate with that, on to the next item.
Yes, requesting to adopt the resolution for the Northwoods Regional ATV Trail Phase 1 and 1A and 1B, and it reads, EAW Record of Decision, Aitkin County Northwoods Regional ATV Trail Phase 1A and 1B. Be it resolved, the Aitkin County Board of Commissioners agrees to approve the Record of Decision for the Aitkin County Northwoods Regional ATV Trail Phase 1A and 1B, noting that an environmental impact statement is not required for the project.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Sample. Support.
I'll support.
Motion supported, Commissioner Carney. Any discussion? Hear no discussion, we'll call it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
All right, you're almost done with me.
Not that we want to be, Andrew.
All right, the title of the next item is Request Public Hearing Date for the Septic System Ordinance Amendments. And this is, again, I just want to recognize my staff, my zoning officers. Jody Grund and Brock Anderson have done a fabulous job assisting in the revision and in these amendments. So the summary of the issue is the Ordinance Review Committee met on February 11th to review and discuss proposed amendments to the subsurface sewage treatment system ordinance. The Aitkin County Planning Commission held a public hearing on April 21st and unanimously approved the amendments, forwarding to the county board for final approval. Amendments are designated with strike-through, which is the old language to be removed, and the red letters, which is the new added language. In accordance with Minnesota Statutes 391 and Rule 11 of the Procedures of the Board, 2 readings shall be conducted prior to the adoption of the amendment. That first reading requesting a public hearing. So I am requesting a public hearing for the Aitkin County Board of Commissioners at the regularly scheduled meeting of May 27th. We are proposing a second reading on June 10th. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, is that the proper chronology to have a second reading after the public hearing?
Yes, sir. The public hearing and the first reading are together.
Okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure we're
Yes, sir.
consistent.
Yep.
And, Mr. Chair,
Commissioner?
when would, if it's approved, when would this start?
It's June 10th. When
Wait, June 10th.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Cool.
So that's one ordinance down.
Is your staff ready for it?
Yes. Contractors have inquired on some of the rules. Again, it's only been, the original is 2014, so it's 10 years old. It's never been amended.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's time.
Yeah. I would
Mr.
say.
Chair,
Yes.
the public hearing request is for 10 a.m. It's not listed exactly like that on the
Yeah, there's a
item,
typo
but
there.
10 a.m. does work in the schedule.
So if I'm reading this correctly, the motion being requested was that we have a public hearing on May 27th at 10 a.m. on the proposed amendments, and also a second reading on June 10th, 2024. Subsequent to that second reading, I presume you'll want action taken.
Yes, sir.
So we have a trilogy here of number 1, the public hearing, number 2, the second reading, and number 3, proposed action by the board. That would be the basis of the motion.
Okay.
I'll call for a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Motion is set effect on the floor by Commissioner Sample. Support.
I'll support.
Commissioner LaVisca supports. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. The motion prevails.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Anything else since you're here, Andrew?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. On to IT. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. So what I'm asking for in my first request here is to upgrade and unify the Office 365 subscription that we currently have. We right now run a mixture of various different Office packages. Some people have Office 2016, some people have Office 2019, some people have Office 2021, Office 2024. We have not purchased any licenses for, but that is available. I would like to simplify IT tracking and move us all to the subscription-based service of Microsoft M365. Without going too much into the weeds on it, Microsoft has many different license levels, and the license level I feel would fit our needs are the M365 G3 licenses. Those cost $34.2 per user per month.
And as pointed out in the request, this is budgeted.
Yes, there are budgeted funds available. I am redirecting funds from different projects to use for this purpose. And then in 2026, I would budget for them directly.
Thanks, Chris. Questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner Westerland approving the request. Support.
I'll support.
That motion is supported by Commissioner Kearney. Any further comments, questions, discussion? Commissioner LaVisca.
So Chris, are the the funds being reallocated from other projects, what are those looking like in the future then moving forward to get those back on the?
They would also have to be budgeted for in 2026. I may not utilize all of these funds available for me. I'm still crunching some numbers to see how that works out. So some of these projects may still be able to move forward in 2025.
Okay, and is there anything that is potentially able to be pushed out if we see those, tough budget numbers coming back?
Yes, some of the projects could be pushed out another year or two.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Teams calling.
My second request does sort of go hand in hand with this.
Teams.
Yes.
Teams, yes. So our telephone system is going to go end of life in March of 2026. Our current solution is the NEC 3C Univerge system that was put in 2019 with the building of the government center here. It is a VoIP, a voice over IP system. NEC is ending the entire product line.
Excuse me.
That's forcing us to adopt something else. I was hoping we were going to get a few additional years out of it, but there's not a lot we can do when the manufacturer says we're done.
Right.
There are a variety of different solutions we could go with. This Teams calling ties in with the Microsoft 365 package that you just approved the purchase of. Instead of having a desk phone, your phone becomes your computer. You're able to log into Microsoft Teams wherever you can log into Microsoft Teams, and there is your phone. We would, of course, recommend headsets. Many people already have them to integrate with the phones and stuff like that. Many would need to be purchased down the road. That's a fairly small purchase per user. The total cost of this is per user is
$21.50.
$21.50 per user monthly. That includes all calling, including conference calling, call forwarding, stuff like that.
So does that eliminate the phone or no?
That would eliminate a desk phone, yes.
Right.
And instead, the phone just becomes your computer. With some exceptions to that, of course, there are places where there are, for example, shift work, like, for example, the jail, they would still get provided a desk phone.
Okay.
Absolutely, moving on out.
Could you expand a little bit the fact that it's not budgeted?
So we do budget for our phone system, of course. So those funds are already allocated to paying for our NEC system. The plan for 2025 would be to use those same funds from the other IT projects that we can reallocate for the M365. There is enough funding in that to cover both of these projects.
So it's just a lateral shift in funds.
Correct. I have some funds that are in reserves, and then I have a budgeted amount that was for some security testing. Right. The other important phase of this is that it does give us some very much needed mobility for Health and Human Services for their remodel. We estimated that it will save several $1,000s in purchasing of cell phones for them. HHS has estimated around $12,000 in cell phones.
Cool. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion approving by Commissioner Westerland. Support?
Support.
Commissioner Sample supports. A discussion? Thanks.
Thank you,
very
Commissioner.
much, Chris, for all your research and foresight into this. Any, Commissioner Leviska?
So, getting rid of the current phone system, then picking this up, what's the cost difference in there? I didn't see that, or is there one?
Yeah, so I don't think I put that into the agenda request.
No.
This is more expensive than the NEC solution that we went with. That cost us approximately $300,000 from August 2019 to May 2025 when we put it in. Came out to roughly $50,000 per year for our phone service. So that would be rolled into the Teams calling instead. This is $21.50 per user per month. And I thought I did have a
Total cost is what, $1321.50 a month?
1,300 a month? Yeah. So, and I should note that this is being done in 2 phases. So phase 1 would be HHS only, the 61 people in HHS. We hope to do that about the middle of August to be ready for them to move home. We would move the remainder of the folks in December, so just before the turn of the year. The reason for those timelines is Marco is giving us some promotional pricing on this. They have agreed to waive the implementation costs, an estimated $20,000 in this.
Good. Just say Marco Polo.
I do have a better estimate of the cost. Let me pull that up real quick. So I had estimated that an annual cost for the phase 1, that's the 61 users in HHS, would be $14,000, and then the remainder of the county would be approximately $55,000. So it is a little more expensive than our previous solution when we look at approximately $50,000 per user per month. Excuse
Isn't
me,
everything?
$50,000 per
Right, 50
per user per year annual cost.
I thought all this technology was supposed to get cheaper. Who's sad?
Unfortunately, it seems like the technology just gets more and more expensive as you stack
Exactly.
more on top of it.
Because they know we need it now.
Commissioners, any further discussion? Not, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion's carried. Thanks for all your research and recommendations, Chris.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Economic Development, Mark Jeffers.
Thank you. We have one item from Economic Development. Our Economic Development Committee has been looking and reviewing the grant applications that are coming in for the Business Development and Recreation Grant. You can see that we are recommending to approve 2 of those, both some tourism events here in the Aitkin area with Riverboat Heritage Days and Paddle Your Glass Off, which are 2 tourist-driven events in Aitkin itself. We request approval of that, of a motion to award the grants.
Commissioners, you've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Naturally better, I'll make the motion.
To set effect. Commissioner Sample.
Paddle your blank off?
Support?
Support.
Commissioner LaVisca supports. Further comments, discussion? I just have to, Mark and I were talking before the meeting. If anybody was around town this weekend, there was a multi-team baseball tournament. I haven't seen so many cars in a long, long time. There were 5 fields going. Parents were stopping at grocery stores, restaurants, gas stations, et cetera, et cetera. It was really nice to see.
And you know it was opening fishing.
And Mother's Day.
And Mother's Day. 47 was lined.
Yeah.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
But on an economic development
Good.
basis, it was really good to see. Any further discussion? The question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you. On to Mark Jeffers, Economic Development Coordinator, Board Liaison.
Thanks.
General updates.
Yeah, just a couple of updates for you. Talking about and probably big on everyone's list is the legislative session and the potential end or extension or extra session or whatever they might do. But we did send out a letter. Thank you, Commissioner Westerland, for offering up that letter to send out to our legislators, letting them know the county's stance on the budget shift, so to speak, or the budget cut that they're calling it a cut, but it is a shift. So we did send that letter out on behalf of the commissioners. We do have and want to discuss putting an editorial in the paper to start to at least inform our public of what those cost shifts might mean. it shifts from a state funded to a county funded, which could ultimately, unfortunately, affect each taxpayer. We believe there's a responsibility that we should start to let them know that. We have drafted a letter. Commissioner Weedle does have that. I think you all have copies of that. I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I don't know if they do.
Okay.
I don't
There they
have a
are.
copy.
There they are right there. So we'll just, Commissioner Weedle, if I can turn it over to you for discussion on whether you want to discuss.
Yeah, just what Mark's proposing is not a letter to the editor. Letters to the editor tends to be an invite for rebuttal.
Yes.
This would be strictly, if the age Gene would accommodate this, would be an editorial signed by the board chair representing the board's position. And as Mark indicated, we have to start educating the public as to the long-term impact. We have our budget hearing in December. We're going to be accountable. And we have to have some answers to hard questions. And the reality of the matter is, the state is not making tough decisions. The state is just shifting the tax burden from the state to the property owners. And if everybody had a chance to look, the one thing that I may suggest is that we add rural EMS funding. I think that is extremely critical to the residents of Aitkin County.
And Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yes.
I'd like to know which ones are mandated and which ones are statute. Because just because they're mandated, if they ain't state statute, even though they might be some tough decisions, them are decisions we're gonna have to make when it comes to this budget.
And we probably won't know until things shake out from the legislature. Heaven knows when that's going to be. But you're right on.
Well, Mr. Chair, they have a thing here from AMC that just came in to come to the Capitol on Thursday.
Yeah.
If you're interested in, I'm not interested, unless somebody else is driving.
I'll drive, Lori.
I know, I wish, I can't go. I got mom duties. So yeah, they're just, anything you want to send our legislators, senators, send it.
Yeah,
Personalize it. Everybody should be sending stuff to them. Whether it's,
And to the point at hand, is everybody comfortable with this, perhaps with the addition of rural EMS funding?
yep.
I have one question, if I may, Sarah. What Commissioner had just stated about statutes and mandates. Are there some mandates that they send down that are funded and you have rules to go by? That they
Yes.
say, we'll give you this money, but you have to do that. It may not be a statute, but there's rules that come along with the money.
Yep. It's a mandate.
Ask me that again. I'm trying to process your question.
There are state statutes that come down that say there's some services you have to provide.
Correct.
Right? Then there's mandates that come out from the state saying, hey, this needs to be done also.
Correct.
If they attach funding to it, are there rules and regulations that come along with it that we can't?
But if they're not funding it, then why can't we?
Right, if they're not funding it, but if there is.
That's what
the
I'm
point
saying.
trying to make.
Typically, our mandates are in statute. A lot of times there's a statute that accompanies the mandate.
Right.
But it doesn't always mean that the funding comes with the mandate.
Right.
If that makes sense.
That
But
does, totally.
there are revenue streams, like our adult mental health case managers receive targeted case management. So there are ways to bill for those services as well. Does that answer it, or?
Yeah, it answered my
Yeah.
portion of the question.
It does, but if we fund it now we have no money.
Right.
So now we're gonna pass it down to the counties. If it ain't a statute, we gotta make that tough decision.
Yeah.
Of the service.
If I may, Mr. Chair, a lot of the cost shifts for HHS in those proposals are mandated services. So what they're doing is just shifting, obviously, the state share to us, but it doesn't mean that we can necessarily reduce staffing because it's a mandated service that the county has to provide.
What if
Because,
you don't have the money to do the services? This is the.
And if it ain't
Right.
statute.
but it is statute.
And this will become part of the budget committee discussion. And the tough, the old saying is the $100,000 question.
Sure.
This is the multi-million-dollar question in
Yeah.
terms of Aitkin County taxpayers. We're going to have to decipher, number one, what is mandated, funded or unfunded, what is not mandated, and if cuts need to be made, reductions need to be made. Obviously, we're going to have to concentrate it on the mandated services.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, I plan on bringing in a presentation, probably around June, with mandated and non-mandated services, you know, what's funded, what does that look like, to kind of help us prepare for that budget discussion, and kind of show you, you know, how much of these positions are paid for and how, which ones are mandated, what does that look like. So we are working on that presentation for you as well. Now, I heard some rumblings that, you know, maybe some of these cost shifts they might take away. That kind of was hot off the press yesterday. Don't know if that's true. Don't know which shifts. I don't know, Mark, if you have more information on that.
Not the detail. And again, it's the conversations, as you all know, it's fluid right now in St. Paul, and things will change all this week. They have a deadline of next Monday, and we'll see if they, one, hit that deadline, two, come out with some solutions, and we'll have to keep our eyes and ears on it and be able to react as we need.
And I can tell you in Health and Human Services, we are looking at every position all of the time, how to streamline, how to be more efficient, how to do things better. You know, we are continuing to do that, and we're doing it pretty heavily right now to prepare for the budget.
Well, and it's every department.
Yeah.
I mean, we all gotta look at, could be really bad,
Yeah.
and it might take a while to get back on our feet.
But I guess please, if you hear anything, you have questions about it, feel free to set up a meeting with me, give me a call. There's a lot going, on. I'm trying to stay on top of it, so please reach out if you have any questions.
We're hearing a lot of rumors. It's all based on conjecture at this point. Some of the immediate ones, AIS funding.
I just want to be careful that, number one, we don't do things that we lose revenue on, or we could get fined for, because there's
Absolutely.
some, those things we have to really pay attention to as well.
That has to be a major component, obviously,
Yeah.
in terms of ultimate decisions that are going to have to be made by this board.
But I appreciate your support during this time and your questions and your help, so.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for stepping up when I just called you unprepared, so I
That's all
appreciate
right.
that.
I'm used to it.
You got enough on your plate with a building going on.
I know.
Thanks.
Well,
Crazy. I
This
know.
is why I love this job.
Thank you, Thanks, sir.
It's a new day every day.
Kind of to Mark's original point, is everybody comfortable with the letter and the concept?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you want to add rural EMS funding?
Yes.
I'll do so, and I'll work
Send it-
with Jean
Oh,
to.
Okay, we have a consensus.
Yep.
Okay, would the minutes please reflect we have a consensus on this proposed editorial?
Thank you for that. Just the next item, District 1 AMC meeting is scheduled for June 18th, if you're not aware of that.
Yes, it is.
If
Is
you
that
are,
Two Harbors?
is in Two Harbors. And
Yeah, Commissioner Carney?
With that, let me interrupt real
Yes.
quick. On June 18th, do we have the Board of Adjustment on the 17th?
I believe so. I believe so. I can tell you in a second.
And if so, what time is that?
3 o'clock or something.
Is that 3 o'clock?
3 or 4?
So I gotta drive
Yes.
all the way up.
Yeah, it is the 17th. and
Me
it
It is
is
the
too.
17th.
Normally
Okay,
in the
thank you. I just
afternoon.
wanted for clarification.
And what time is
Sorry
it?
about that.
17th at 3 o'clock.
At 3.
O'clock. It goes from 3 to 7, right? Doesn't the BOA usually go from 3 to 7?
It varies on
To
the,
whenever they,
Yeah.
depends
We're
on
done.
how many people
Our
they
schedule.
have
Okay.
coming up.
Thanks. I think we're gonna be full.
Oh,
Thank you
I
for
don't
the
know.
clarification. Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely. The next subject, I just have a couple more, I'll get you, we're right on time, by the way. 2025 AMC Annual Conference in September. Last year for Economic Development, I submitted a workshop that was Economic Development, why you need it, and presented that out there. I would like to submit another workshop talking about our revitalization program here at Aitkin County and the strategic plan. I can do that and set forth that application. If they accept it, then we'll just have a good presentation down there.
Would there
for
be some
AMC.
leaders with you to help present?
Would you guys like to do that?
Wow.
No, the last, if I may, Chair, the last presentation he gave down at AMC was phenomenal. We had senior commissioners coming up and asking, how can we get that information? So kudos on you. It was, and you know it was a well-received briefing. So I think that this is a good trend. That
I was
we
getting
can
how much does he
stay-
make and how much does Willie?
Yeah, we can
Willie
ask
take
AMC
to
if they
move?
could start paying our
No.
speaker, right?
No, it's all good.
So, no, I think that's a great idea and a great opportunity for involvement within AMC.
Yeah, appreciate those compliments. It's always fun to tell the Aitkin County story, and people need to hear that more often, and that continues to drive us, so we'll do that. Last thing, from an administrative update, the employee appreciation luncheon, very well received. I know you guys talked about that early. Thank you to all of you, especially Commissioner LaVisca and Westerland for serving the tacos, which was nice.
Thanks
Yeah.
for stepping
all of
in,
the
guys.
help.
I apologize for not being there.
No, it's outstanding.
We
And I
understand
did-
circumstances for sure.
Yeah, I did forward a couple of the sincere employee appreciation
Yes, they were
emails, things like
Much
that. It was
appreciated.
very sincerely appreciated. So, nice work on that. We'll see if y'all want to do it again next year for the next one. And then, the NACO, I do have one more. The NACO Annual Conference in Philly on July 11th through the 14th. Is anyone planning to go to that? And if so, talk with April on
Travis?
how to
We're
set
already
that up.
set.
You guys are all good?
It's taking set up.
Soup?
April's got you all taken care of. I like it. And just two economic development things. I attended the NRAC meeting last night to talk about the ATV trail. I'll let the commissioners that were on that give that update. And then we held a group meeting, we'll call it a group meeting, collaboration meeting with Shamrock Township and the Shamrock Township supervisors with Planning and Zoning. Commissioner Sample attended that to try to get to the front of some of the concerns that might have been out there or maybe out there on planning and zoning, the way decisions that are made. I think the only way I know how to approach an issue is to hit it head on. So I think let's just go out there and talk it through and get a good understanding. And there is a second meeting that had been scheduled, so I guess that's a good sign that they
That's
wanted
a
to
good
get together
sign.
again. And that's scheduled for later in May. And I'm sure Andrew will give you updates as well on how that works, but that's it for me unless there's questions.
Thank you, Mark. Commissioners,
Yes.
any questions? Okay, thank you. On to Commissioner Committee updates. Lori, you're off the hook. We'll go clockwise today.
Oh, thank you.
So you throw me on
Commissioner
there.
Carney.
Well, mine's gonna be short and sweet. We had most of my meetings are next week. We had the extension meeting. They're doing great, utilizing the funding that we gave them. They're prepping up for the county fair, which is always exciting. They will be coming and asking some commissioners to participate in judging or whatever. That brings another point with the, who is going to organize parking? Usually commissioners volunteered couple hours time. Are you gonna be doing that, or is somebody else going to be doing that?
Yeah, that
Well, I
feels
mean,
like,
if we don't have,
yes, it feels like a Jim Bright thing and we'll
Oh,
make sure we get
thank
a
you.
hold of,
so.
we'll make sure we talk
Other
to
than
him
that,
about
I'm gonna let Commissioner Sample brief on the NRAC meeting. Concerning the AMC District One meeting, I'll be attending that. I'll be applying for the director's position at the June meeting.
It used to be just the chairperson.
Yeah, now they call it
Now,
a director.
I don't know why they
I
do
don't know
that.
that either. But anyway,
They
just
want
so
you
you
on the
guys know,
board.
I'll be putting in for that position for more.
For the
for
District
more
One director?
Contact the District
Okay.
One director.
Are you
So-
going to the
I'm
meeting?
planning to be there. yeah.
Okay.
Good, good. And that's all I have,
Lake
Chair.
County?
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Sample?
Nice pass on Mr. Bright there.
That was.
That was
like
a
an
smooth
administrator
handoff.
art and delegation.
Kind of like what we've discussed I've heard it 3 or 4 times from you, Mr. Chair.
on what's going on down at the state. AIS meeting is kind of the same thing. We're up in the air on a lot of things. I will say at the start of the season, we have 23 out of a possible 25 employees, which is good. But I think,
Don't they know we're the state of 10,000 lakes and more?
well, you know, it's like they gotta cut funding and AIS, I've heard they're gonna cut it, and then I've heard they're not gonna cut it, and it's kind of
They just give.
everybody's kind of waiting to see what happens after the state. And I mean, that would be my main report from AIS is that we have 23 out of 25 employees hired. We are kind of waiting to see how the funding's gonna play out. And the airport commission for McGregor, that was canceled at the end of the month. So hopefully we have that this month. And the NORAC, that was kind of the big talk too. And we're kind of waiting where even though we raised the Berglund Park and Aitkin and our 5 campgrounds, we raised that fee last year. We still fell $19,000 short. And granted that the people participating in that was down from last year. And naturally better, Mr. Jeffers give a presentation. I had to do this to you today, Mark.
I love it.
Good presentation.
Absolutely great.
But he gave a good presentation. And that's kind of where I'm at, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner LaVisca?
Okay, we had ATV committee meeting, which DJ kind of touched most on, I think, today at his briefing on the ATV trail. Other than that, we did discuss some potential legislative changes with the sheriff to kind of unify. Right now, we have class 1 rules in legislation and our ordinance where side-by-sides are kind of a thing of their own. There's no speed limits, there's no user, and that's because as the state has gone through and pieced together their legislation on these rules regarding different classifications, a lot of it contradicts itself and it doesn't make any sense. So we're working on trying to get some updates to the state legislation regarding side-by-sides and get some, be able to get some speed limits put into place, because I think we can all sit here and agree that we don't need side-by-sides driving 60 miles an hour down a dirt road. That's not very safe, and that is what's happening. So there's a lot to look at there as far as ATVs
People
legislation.
have to take responsibilities
Right.
at some point.
It takes some common
We can't rule
sense.
them to death. I mean.
Yeah, so, I mean, but at the same time, there's a reason
I
we have
know.
speed limits on roads and things like that. It's just because certain things are good to have rules on, not everything, but certain things. And then we, Commissioners Carney, Sample, and myself went to the training, negotiation training, AMC training, and I think there's a lot of good information on there
Absolutely.
regarding some different strategies and just kind of different ways of looking at things, because we tend to get stuck in our own lane when it comes to discussion. So a lot of good ideas came out of that.
I was curious, if I may interrupt.
Yeah.
Did they speak at all on mediation, the arbitration processes?
Absolutely. Well,
They didn't really get into arbitration.
one of the scenarios that I participated in, I being the MPCA, stepped into the mediation position between the business owner and the community, And so, yeah, there is mediation that goes along with in the arbitration. Sure,
Yep. So
absolutely.
But did they
mediation we
elaborate
did.
on the process or give you
They
guidance?
said,
No, they
the
didn't
only
really
thing
get
they
in
said
depth
was
on arbitration.
don't be afraid to step into a mediator role.
Right.
Okay.
They obviously, say you want to stay away from arbitration if possible, because that gets expensive for everybody. So they did do a lot of mediation type stuff, and trying to get things worked out without getting to that point.
I was just curious.
Yeah. And then yesterday, I unfortunately missed the library meeting due to some work stuff, so that's what I got this week.
If I, again, may interrupt, on the library meeting with all the cuts, I don't know if it was Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, or whatever paper, had an article, I think it was the Brainerd Dispatch, and it had to do with the regional library system in St. Cloud. We're anticipating drastic cuts from the state. Have we heard anything on our own East Central? And
Yep.
one of the main basis of my question, what does our joint powers agreement contractually state in terms of if they get reduced funding, do we proportionally reduce our funding to them?
No, so it's all based off of the budget that is approved by the board. So if state funding's reduced, that has to be made up by the counties involved. It's just, that's the way the JPA works. And then obviously, once that budget's approved, they dole out the information, the numbers for each county, what they owe. And whatever that goes up, if you choose to pay less as a county, you cut library services. Like you'll cut hours, you'll cut staff, things like that, which,
But you never cut wages.
yeah, no, right.
Sorry.
So, it's really gonna depend heavily on our budgeting process. And my stance going into budgeting is gonna be that any state funding cuts to the system need to be made up in that budget, not by the counties.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but since you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
so that's what I got for the week.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Westerlund.
Okay, well, not that it's a county entity that just say it, Lori. No, DAC bought the building over on Bunker Hills. Everybody knows, we had our picture in the paper. I got my picture like 3 weeks in a row. What's going on? Anyway, it's gonna be a great, great move. We are so excited. It's always drama anywhere you go, but we're very excited about, and I'm so glad I'm a part of that. So, let's see, employee meal, we had a big care finance meeting. I guess nobody that's been there has ever had a working budget, a working document that we could budget through. So we have Judy Turner, who's at the hospital. She's our finance gal. And then we have Laura, oh gosh, I can't think of Laura's last name, at Bremer Bank. Anyway.
Laura
And me.
Schlegel.
Yeah, Schlegel, thank you. So, and me. So we and Amy, us three and Amy, worked very hard to start to come up with a true budget, because it's gonna be very difficult with these rides for health.
That's right.
So we're just gonna keep working on that kind of stuff. I had MRC. We just talked about the same stuff we're talking about with legislative stuff. Also with Northern Counties N Club. It's gonna be NCC now, Northern County Coalition. Same thing, we went through the same thing. AMC Web yesterday, same thing. I actually did go to Itasca for the Northern Clubs, because that's kind of a good meeting to go to, because there's a lot of people I don't see. You know, Kitson County and a lot of people up there. Anyway, that's all I had.
Thank you, Lori.
Sure.
I had quite a few. Economic development, that's been covered already. Budget committee has been covered already. Brainerd one watershed, one plan. Have to kind of get my notes here. It was a pretty routine type meeting, kind of a mandatory quarterly meeting. Nothing really new, everything is on budget. And the money that we get, Aitkin County's proportion, I believe are all Bowser funds. And the question, I guess the question du jour was, is that gonna be cut by the state? We're talking hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars for the Brainerd, which includes Aitkin, obviously. Is that gonna be cut? Nobody knows. And we just had updates from the various watersheds, Upper Grand Rapids, Snake, Grum, Kettle, etc. nothing too earth-shaking going on there. Aitkin County Water Planning Task Force met. That was a pretty interesting meeting. Find my notes here somewhere. Just had it here. Was a right in front of me. That's why I couldn't find it. It was a guest presentation from Ann Bruciniani, Lyon is her last name, project leader for the Mille Lacs Trash Tracker. You're familiar with that, Lori?
Yeah.
And they brought in skin divers to, is that what they call them, skin divers nowadays? Divers, I don't know what, how they ever got skin divers, I don't know. And the hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of trash that they found, took out of Mille Lacs Lake and on the shore and diving. It was an interesting presentation. And coincidentally, 2 days before, I get Spectrum Cable, my television, and midnights and Sunday nights on the Minnesota channel, they had an entire video presentation of this same team. And they had done diving in Lake Tahoe. I mean, you wouldn't believe tons of trash that they took out of there. But they also had excerpts of Mille Lacs. It was interesting. And the whole point was, I don't want to go into a lot of detail here, but some of the waste they pick up from the fish houses, it's almost unbelievable. But that was kind of the highlight, the main presentation at the Aitkin County Water Planning Task Force. The projects at hand, and this kind of falls in with the One Watershed, One Plan, some of the funding. They're planning to do a drone study this summer on the Aitkin Diversion Channel. And that's something from the get-go that myself and whoever was on that committee originally brought up, bring the diversion channel to the forefront. It affects everybody downstream from us, and bear it in mind for future funding. So they are going to do a drone study on the channel, and I've been going up there at least once a week, and it has been doing its job. It has been flowing nicely. Of course, we haven't had a high water problem yet either. There's a culvert going in, and this is all through the Bowser funding. Morrison Township, there's a culvert. And the one talked about for a long time was the one on Dam Lake, where that's going to be converted to a box-type cement culvert. Everything right now is on track. And that was Aitkin County Water Planning Task Force. AIS committee met. Again, things are pretty much on track there. We don't know. The governor's proposal was to cut the funding in half. I'm hearing rumors that may or may not happen now. Who knows? There's just really no way to tell. But Aitkin County definitely has been, along with the other 4 counties in the Brainerd Watershed District, are truly benefiting by those funds. Health and Human Service Advisory Committee met. There was a very interesting presentation, again, from the, gotta get a little bit organized here. Tricia Zimmerman's Second Harvest Northland Project food presentation. And she went through where they get the food. They get it from vendors and canned goods, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why it can be distributed at the food shelves. And the thousands of tons. Do you want to comment on this at all?
No.
Or you want me to?
If you have anything to add. It was a very interesting presentation. and really highlighted the need, the hunger issue.
Yeah, I think it just really, after hearing Hannah Colby kind of come and give her presentation and then hearing the statistics again from Second Harvest on food insecurity and kind of how many people are accessing or needing food, I just think it really showed that we continue to have an issue in our region, so.
It was very, very interesting presentation. Thanks.
Thank you.
And towards zero deaths, we had, tonight, I might add, this is the 13th, isn't it? At Rosalini's is Law Enforcement Appreciation Night. And there's free pizza, games, etc. It's a chance for the community to meet the local law enforcement people. It'll be in that little,
For the city or for the?
for everybody.
For everybody, oh.
It's in the city, obviously, but it'll be in that little courtyard between Bremer Bank and Rosalini's. If anybody would care to attend or pick up a slice of pizza. This is as of the 19th of April. Traffic deaths were down. In 2024, there were 94 more than the preceding year. So we made a reduction, and those are the latest numbers that I've got. That is pretty much all I've got. Anything else? Mark, anything you want to add?
All good. Thank you.
Not non-debatable motion.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Commissioner LaVisca, support.
Support.
Commissioner Westerland, supports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Woo-hoo.
This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Gene.